What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on FantasyPros with a 10-team full PPR mock where we will be selecting first overall our roster, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, a flex, and then 5 bench spots. But that's pretty much it. So let's start this thing off. And while we wait for it to load, a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter, @AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments, your thoughts. Any questions you guys might have, we will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's kick it off. And look, I've got the first pick overall here. And I've been on record saying when I was breaking down, in my opinion, what I think are the best picks in drafts for the 2025 fantasy football season, that I really don't like the first pick overall this year. I just think that the player pool is so deep that you could go a number of different directions, that the advantages that you would normally have with that pick aren't as big time this year. And I'd much rather have somewhere in the middle or somewhere like the 7th, 8th pick. So you can land 2 tier 1 guys, in a 10-team league, as is the case here. You might be able to get some of that magic going with those middle picks as well. But look, with that being said, I'm going to try and think about this objectively. And I think you're almost kind of pigeonholed if you have that first overall pick to go with a wide receiver, because the chances of you then getting a top 10, or a high-end wide receiver in the 2nd, 3rd round, I think are much lower than you potentially getting a Bucky Irving or a Chase Brown or a Jonathan Taylor in that 2-3 turn. So with that being the case, I'm going to go Jamar Chase, and then let's see how it pans out. And let's see if I end up regretting that or if I am kind of right about that situation. And boy, wouldn't you know it. So Jamar Chase, then Bijan, then CeeDee Lamb, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey. So far, absolutely zero issues. Justin Jefferson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Puka, Malik Neighbors, Derrick Henry. Everything so far completely normal. Full PPR, again, 10-team league as a reminder. Ashton Genty at the 201. Amon Ra, Nico Collins, Drake London, Brian Thomas. A.J. Brown goes at the 206. Achane drops to 207. I think that's really good value. Brock Bowers at the 208. And then Jonathan Taylor at the 209. And this, this wasn't planned. I didn't know that this is how it would turn out. But literally what I said 2 minutes ago about if you start Jamar Chase, with that first pick overall, I don't love it. But the chances of you getting 2 top-tier running backs like a Chase Brown and Bucky Irving, and wouldn't you know it, looking at the cheat sheet, who are the 2 best available running backs left? That is Chase Brown and Bucky Irving. So we could go with a Josh Jacobs instead of a Chase Brown, potentially, so we don't have, 2 Cincinnati Bengals on the squad. I'm not considering wide receiver. I'm not considering tight end. I need to go running backs here. If I wait on the running back situation, I feel like it's going to get very barren by the next time I select. Look, it's not ideal, but I'm a Chase Brown believer. So I'm going to go with Chase Brown and Jamar Chase here. Afterwards, Bucky Irving, Josh Jacobs. I like both those guys. Let's switch it up a little bit here and go with... let's go with Josh Jacobs. You know what? I think he's going to be a little bit more involved. Rashad White is still there for the Bucs. So I'm going to go with Josh Jacobs. And then the real interesting part will be what we have available to us in that, 4-5 turn. So pulling it up. We went Chase Brown, we went Josh Jacobs, then it was McConkey, Bucky Irving, Kyron Williams, completely normal so far. Normal stuff, T. Higgins, Trey McBride, 306, good value compared to where Brock Bowers went. I want to point that out. JSN, Tyreek, James Cook, Josh Allen. Okay, first quarterback off the board at the end of the 3rd. Then Devontae, O'Marion Hampton, Kittle, Kamara, Kenneth Walker, Lamar at the 406. Then Evans, Garrett Wilson, and Marvin Harrison. So here, if we wanted to go quarterback, we could go with the Jaden Daniels. Question is, do we think that Jaden Daniels is going to take that next big step? Or, is he going to potentially run into the CJ Stroud thing and, have a down year, quote unquote? if I'm looking at the names here that I really like, you know, I like DK Metcalf. If he was there, I would have gone Marvin Harrison and DK Metcalf pretty easily. But now, honestly, damn, I might just go Jaden Daniels for Washington. Jalen Hurts is also another option. Like, I think they're pretty close together. I just feel, I feel like the Jalen Hurts pick might be a little bit safer. But let's see. I'm gonna go with wide receiver. I'm gonna go with DK Metcalf as one of our picks. I think DK Metcalf can be pretty solid this year with the quarterback upgrade. And then, all right, let's throw some caution to the wind. We'll go with Jaden Daniels here. You know, younger guy, relies on his legs a little bit more. I'm just worried about that whole Terry McLaurin situation. I don't know how that's going to pan out. So, a bit of a risk, but we'll go Jaden Daniels. And then, you know, to quote unquote get that positional advantage at one of those positions, quarterback, tight end, even though, like, I much more prefer to do that at tight end because, like, I mean, look, Baker Mayfield, Bo Nix, Dak Prescott, I think people are sleeping on this year. I think he can have a very solid year. Afterwards, let's see, Breece Hall, just kind of recapping what happened after Jaden Daniels pick. Breece Hall, Jalen Hurts, Terry, DJ Moore, Cortland Sutton, Joe Burrow, Chuba Hubbard, Tedero McMillan, Xavier Worthy, Devonta Smith, Travis Kelce. Okay, interesting. Kelce going before Laporta, before Hawk. James Conner, Jalen Waddle, Travion Henderson. Henderson might have been tempting for me there. Jalen Warren, Laporta, Ridley, and Patrick Mahomes. So I'm looking at some of these names right now. I think Rashee Rice is tempting with the way that our build is going right now. So, yeah, I mean, just kind of looking at the draft sentiment, risky but potentially rewarding wide receiver. Main thing, he's coming off an injury and the looming suspension. That's the main thing. The looming suspension, how long it's going to be, and when it's going to happen, right? So that's the main thing. I think I might look elsewhere. Tight ends, I'm going to wait on tight end. Some of these running backs that I like. So Tony Pollard, RJ Harvey, David Montgomery. I do like somebody like a Roma Dunze. I think he can have kind of a breakout year. But let's grab ourselves some running back depth here, right? I'm gonna go with probably David Montgomery or Tony Pollard, or maybe I just go Tony Pollard and RJ Harvey. Let's see what we did here. So, yeah, I think we're going to just do what I mentioned. We're going to go with one of these running backs. And then maybe I go, let's look at it here. I'm not going DeAndre Swift. Maybe I go Tony Pollard. I think he can have some workload, considering Spears is a little bit banged up right now. So I'll go with Tony Pollard as a potential flex piece. Wide receiver. Do I take the shot on Rashee Rice, or do I go with somebody like a Jameson Williams? I'll go with Jameson Williams here. High upside guy. Let's see what that offense in Detroit will look like without Ben Johnson. Kind of interesting. But the draft board, after we went Tony Pollard and Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, DeAndre Swift, Rashee Rice, of course, Pickens, Baker, Olave, Monty, of course, Bo Nix, Jerry Jeudy, Jacoby, RJ Harvey. I think some of the RJ Harvey hype is dying down a little bit with concerns about his pass blocking. Pacheco, Travis Hunter, and Aaron Jones at the 805, really good value. Pittman, Odunze, though, 807, really good value. Tracy at the 808, I think, is a good value. Debo at the 809. So what are we looking at here right now? Stephon Diggs. I think that if we were to go with a wide receiver, he'd probably be the guy. But I'm looking at tight ends, and TJ Hawkinson is still there. I think with Jordan Addison banged up, or no, excuse me, suspended. TJ Hawkinson could be fed the football to start the year. And I mean, I need a tight end. Let's go with Hawkinson here as one of our picks. I think there's some late round tight end sleepers that are also really good, like Ingram, Njoku, Tyler Warren. So at this point, though, we're pretty much going after, you know, just some sleepers, stuff like that. I think Stephon Diggs could be all right. I do. So we go with Stephon Diggs here. And this is, this is one of the downsides about going a quarterback or tight end earlier on. I feel like we could have had a deeper flex, a deeper bench, stuff like that. And, because our quarterbacks right now, like Dak is there, Justin Fields, guys that I feel good about. Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White. Yeah, and this is what I meant, that just he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. I think Braylon Allen, honestly, not a bad pick at this point in time. What's Rashad White? Groin injury. Yeah. So we've got a couple more picks to make. Guys that we like. I think that Josh Downs with Daniel Jones there could be intriguing. I think I'd probably go Braylon Allen at this point in time, honestly. Braylon Allen, and then maybe a Najee Harris for the Chargers. I think it's going to be split backfield, but he's supposedly going to be ready by week 1, Najee Harris, that is. So I'm going to go with Braylon Allen here. I think this is the point where you go and you're just going for high upside running backs. Braylon Allen is one of those guys. Let's see if did some of these guys for Washington go. Obviously, yeah, Austin Eckler did go. Would have been nice to land him. Yeah, Jacory is also gone. Dobbins gone. Yeah, okay. I mean, we could go with Nick Chubb while Joe Mixon is MIA. Maybe I go Judkins here, but I am a little bit scared by, the off-the-field stuff. But, I mean, if we're going with upside, I think Quinshon makes sense. Yeah, so let's do that, and then we're going to have one last pick here. And see if we can. Dylan Sampson, I think, honestly, could also be a good pick as far as that Cleveland backfield, wide receivers, some banged up guys. I mean, that's what we're down to. Josh Downs, Jordan Addison. Yeah, you look at this list and a lot of red. So running backs, it would probably be Nick Chubb if I'm forced to go with somebody. Tight end, like I already spent up on TJ Hawkinson. Quarterback, we don't need to go in that direction. I'm going to go with high upside running backs. That's always a position where I feel like, some shenanigans happens, injuries, people are looking for running backs, sell high on somebody like a Nick Chubb. So let's go with Nick Chubb, and let's see what draft grade we get. I'll be curious to see. We get a B+, so, I mean, look, FantasyPros is a fan of going with those quarterbacks and tight ends early. So I think we get a big bump for having Jaden Daniels. I don't like the fact that we have Chase Brown and Jamar Chase. If the Bengals have an off week offensively, we probably lose. But I think we did an all right job then filling up on other running backs, like Tony Pollard's our flex. We can insert Williams, Stephon Diggs there if we need to. Then like Braylon Allen, Quinshon Judkins, Nick Chubb. I think that at least one of those guys will hit. I like DK Metcalf. Hawk, I think, will be just fine. I'm not quite as high as a B+. I think it's probably more so B- because of some of the issues that I mentioned. Again, maybe I'm a little bit biased. I don't like that first overall pick this year, but I still wanted to do a little bit of a breakdown to at least highlight some of the concerns that I have, some of the possibilities that we can go with. Don't worry, we're going to do more of these. But hey, let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter, @AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.